All right, and hey everybody, welcome to Chiu Stream. Hope you guys are doing great. I want to first welcome anybody that's a first timer on the stream. Um, you can see that in the description of the video, you can see that there is a link there. The link will bring you to this file, so you can download this file and paint along with me, okay? So before we do that, I'd love to know where you're from. Let me know where you're from. I'll give you a shout out and do a little roll call here. The other thing I'd like to ask is that if you have a question, please type it into the chat and type it in with capital letters question first. That way I'll be able to distinguish which ones are questions, which ones are chat, especially when the chat really starts going. Another thing I want to mention was that, well, everybody's starting to write in where they're from and everything. Big shout outs to everybody in Quebec, the Ukraine, the Netherlands, right on, and a bunch others. They're coming in. Germany, yeah, right on. Malaysia. Anyways, I want to mention that anybody that is doing exercise with me, when you post it online, to please post it with the hashtag ChewStream. And every day, what I'm going to be doing is, or every stream, what I'm going to be doing is featuring one of my favorites from the past week. So this one is from this past week. I found it on Twitter. This was exercises dealing with composition in a portrait format, which is wonderful, really great to see. And look how different it is from the exercises that I did with the same compositions, right? And that's part of the whole entire thing with these streams, is that we're not learning how to just paint like me. I'm trying to help you guys to expand your imagination so that you can paint along, you can paint along developing your own style, your own imagination. So let's go. As I was saying before, you can download this file in the description of the stream, and on YouTube later on, you'll be able to see this. You'll be able to see this. A link to get to this file, okay? So there we go. Now, if you'd like to ask any questions, please type them into the chat, starting with capital letters question. And the other thing I want to mention was, last week I had my wonderful assistant, Masay, with me on the stream. Today I have my other wonderful assistant, Samantha Elma, on the stream. Hey Samantha.
Guys.
Hey, right on. So hopefully, Samantha, we can kind of take this opportunity to just have a conversation as well. So feel free if you want to add anything, you want to ask anything, or maybe if I want to ask you something, I hope you don't mind.
Not at all. I'm here to answer questions.
Right on, right on. And hopefully you guys are there to ask some questions as well, or just to, engage in some conversation with us. So a couple things I want to mention was that a lot of people have been asking about Florence and Montreal workshops. When are we coming back? When schoolism coming back? So I want to mention Montreal first. Now, these will be announced probably next week publicly, right? But for all the advanced notice kind of stuff, I always like to give those kind of things in the chat or in the stream. So for you guys ahead of time, Montreal is happening March 12th and 13th, 2016. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be with Pixar art director in character design, Daniel Arriaga. It's going to be with storyboard artist and director Chris Pern. And Chris Pern is actually working on the upcoming Han Solo movie, which is going to be sounds really cool. Anyways, anything Star Wars nowadays, I'm all over it. Can't help it. And then there's Luis Gonzalez, who is a storyboard artist extraordinaire out of Pixar, one of the best story houses ever. Luc de Marchelier, veteran at DreamWorks for many, many years, has done incredible, beautiful things. And I believe this is his first workshop in Canada. Doesn't do that many workshops, so it's going to be a rare opportunity. But that's what Schoolism workshops are all about, right? Trying to bring some rare opportunities. Also, to top it off, if that wasn't enough, we're also bringing Nathan Fowkes. Nathan Fowkes is coming out, as well as my man Steven Silver's coming out. So that's going to be amazing. March 12th, 13th, Montreal, Schoolism Live. It's going to be epic. Announcement will come out probably next week. Next is going to be Florence. Florence is March 19th with Helen Mingju Chen and Ryan Lang, both huge at Disney. They both left Disney not too long ago, but you know, Big Hero 6 was a phenomenal movie, incredible looking, and both of them worked on that. And as well, I'm going to be doing a workshop in Florence as well. So that's March 19th. And right now, on sale right now, is the Seattle workshop. This is going to be lined up with Emerald City Comic Con, which is going to be fantastic. So, you know, you come for both. Make the trip to come for both. Seattle workshop is April 7th and 8th, and that's going to be with my man Marcelo Vignali, one of my artistic heroes. Actually, a whole bunch of artistic heroes right here. Marcelo Vignali, Dice Satsumi, Robert Kondo, Terrell Whitlatch, Mike Yamada, and myself. So, in case that went by a little too fast for you, Marcelo Vignali, Disney for many years, at Sony for many years, visual development. Dice Satsumi, Academy Award winner, founder of Tonko House, ex-art director at Pixar, along with Robert Kondo, ex-art director at Pixar, founder of Tonko House, Oscar nominated, and Terrell Whitlatch, creature designer extraordinaire, the expert, the queen of creature design. And then, of course, Mike Yamada, still at Disney, rocking it there, production designer there, amazing. So, and then myself. So that's going to be great. And last little plug, it's a free plug, so I have, you know, not trying to get anything out of this except to spread some positive vibes. So years ago, I created this book called The Perfect Bait, and it was really about how to become a successful artist, and the things that I learned from other successful artists and what they taught me about being a successful artist. I put it all into this book, and then I made an audiobook as well. And right now the audiobook is free to download. For anybody out there, it's free to download. I will I guess right now, how would people find I'm just trying to think, how would people find this link to download the book?
I'll put the link up later on YouTube.
Okay, in the description?
In the description, yes.
Okay,
so look out for that.
Right on. Thank you, Sam. So when this video goes up on YouTube, there'll be a link in the descriptions to download the Perfect Bait book, because that is only going to be available until end of January for a free download. So definitely check it out, and if it does you any good, pass it on to your friends. You know, that's the entire point of this. More knowledge for all artists gives us more power, more choices, things like that. You know, power in numbers, right? So all right, let's go to one of the questions here. So this one is from Jenny Luco, and Jenny says, Hey Samantha and Bobby, I was wondering, will the contents of Bobby's talks at CTN be available online at some point as well? And yeah, they will be, right, Sam?
Yep, we're working on that right now, so look out for it.
Cool. And best way to look out for it is sign up for the newsletter on Schoolism. The newsletters on Schoolism are not like most newsletters. These newsletters always come with a tutorial, video, interview, or something else that is beneficial for artists. That's what it's about. I'm not every newsletter has been something helpful for artists as opposed to promotional. There are promotional things on the newsletter, but that's after the educational thing, the helpful thing. So definitely sign up for it, because that's where I put all of our most helpful stuff. And as well, you could always unsubscribe if you don't like it, but that's how you keep up with things. That's the best way to keep up with things. Great. And Jenny says, I'm on the newsletter, so that should be fine. Awesome. Right on. Well, yeah, and when I uploaded the audiobook, The Perfect Bait, for free for people to download, how did people find out? It was through the newsletter. We send everything out through the newsletter. I feel like newsletters really got a bad rap somewhere down the line. Like, as the years went on, newsletters became like spam letters. And same with news in general, I think. Like,
no one really wants to click on it when they see it on their inbox.
I'm telling you, when I was like, when I was little, when I was like a young teenager, there's this show that's still on now, Entertainment Tonight.
Right.
Right? And back then, it was a great show, because they actually taught you how do the films get made. There's like a recent trailer with Independence Day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was super cool. That looked really cool. Did you like the first Independence Day?
I did, yeah.
Yeah? I loved it. I think it was one of the first times that you see real places get blown up and stuff, right?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those first movies that you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, and you see the White House blow up, you see all these Empire State Building blow up and stuff like that, and then they show how they did it on Entertainment Tonight, right? And they showed these models that they made, and then they would point the camera towards where the flames are going to go, right? So when there's the explosion goes towards the camera. And I thought that was really cool. Now, a lot of these news shows, it's like about who's dating who.
Yeah, more gossip.
Yeah, it's like, what happened to the entertainment news? Is this what entertainment news is about these days? I'm ranting a bit because, honestly, I feel like all news has kind of turned to that, as of late. Like, who did Justin Bieber take this selfie with, is all of a sudden more important than some scientist discovering some new, totally, life-changing drug or something like that. It's a bit sad.
No, it really is.
But hey, with every kind of with every dark period, there is always opportunity. The moment to shine the brightest is in darkness. And darkness can bring chaos, but it brings opportunity with it. And the opportunity that I see is that everybody starts to get fed up and start doing their own news. You could see this in YouTube and stuff like that, people doing their own channels and spreading the information that way. I think that's been so great, and I do feel like that is the opportunity that we have now.
Yeah, having content that people actually want to see
Yeah.
and hear about.
Yeah, and you can feel when it's true. You can feel when there's truth behind it, as opposed to when people have these stories and you're just like, this is so fluff, this has no substance. Uh, so Roman asks a question, and Roman says, "Hey Bobby, when can we see the stuff of your work from Alice Through the Looking Glass?" Man, I would love to show that stuff. I would love to show that stuff. I'm not sure when I can show it though. I think it's after the movie comes out. So that's what I'm waiting for. And the movie comes out, I believe it comes out in May. So we're going to have to wait a little bit. And that's how it goes, with a lot of the favorite parts about a project for me uh, deal with when there's hardly any art out there. And it could be very creative, right? That's my favorite part. But when you are working on something at that stage, a lot of times you can't show stuff for like years and years and years. If you're in post production, when they finish filming and everything, and you're doing the special effects, then you won't have to work on it very long before you actually see it. But the thing is, I like working on very early pre-production because then a lot of times you get to even affect the story. You create a character, it inspires the writers, it inspires the director, and they all of a sudden add in a separate, extended part for that character. Then like you really affected the story. When it's post-production, a lot of stuff has been designed already, and you're kind of going off of other people's designs, which is also fun. I enjoy that as well. I just don't enjoy it as much. If I had to pick a favorite, it would have to be heavy pre-production. So in other words, what I'm telling you is, a lot of times I work on stuff and I can't even show it for years and years and years, and sometimes I never get to show it. Like right now, I'm working for League of Legends. It's a really cool video game with all sorts of really fun, really cool characters, and probably the art that I'm doing for it will never see the light of day. That, kind of stinks.
Yeah, it's the downside of the industry.
Yeah. But the other cool thing is that you have a lot more freedom. Something that I kind of learned over the years is that there is no perfect scenario, right? There is no perfect scenario. When you're working on a film that's like totally original, totally original, doesn't exist as a book, doesn't exist as anything, that's really fun. That's really neat too. But the chances of that coming out is a lot less all of a sudden. Then if you want to work on a big license, Transformers, Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever it might be, then all of a sudden that's a really fun project because that has sentimental value to it. But as well, there's going to be a lot more heads or cooks in the kitchen most of the time. So it becomes a lot more constricting as well, right? But I think the main thing is that you want to just focus on all the great reasons that you love that job, and hold on to those much more with a much stronger grip, and try to ignore as much as you can the things about the job that aren't as fun. So you gotta just focus in on all the great reasons that you want to be there and you want to do that thing, and it'll warm up your brain to keep it strong in a state of high level motivation. So do I think about the fact that this thing that I'm painting for, well, not this thing that you see here, but the thing that I'm painting for Riot Games, League of Legends, do I think about the fact that most likely very few people are actually going to see this painting? No. I just focus on, creating something cool, something that will add something new to the Riot universe and to show them something special and different. I don't concentrate on that other part. Let's see here. So Art Skull Tattoo asks, what about a schoolism workshop in France, in Paris? Do you have any French students in your school? What is your relationship with France? Thanks for all. So France, I have a huge, wonderful, soft spot in my heart for France. I've been going to France every year for the last probably 8 years or so. This coming year, we're going twice. So, to answer your question, workshop in Paris, definitely would love to. It's not on my radar just yet because we are doing a lot of stuff. But don't be surprised if you see it in the future. Right now, I would definitely recommend going to, say, like the London workshop or the Berlin workshop. That's happening as well this year, and it's going to be great. I believe the London workshop is going to happen April 16th, 17th, and the Berlin workshop is going to happen April 23rd, 24th. We will also be making those announcements probably next week or the week after. But I would definitely hit up those, because you know what? If you are the type to go to these workshops, you're going to find other people that are that type as well. And that type that I'm talking about is literally the top 1% of all artists. The people that would actually invest in their education, invest in their future, invest in their skills, and even travel to invest in their skills and their knowledge and all that stuff. Those are the people that generally make it in the long run and make it quite far in the long run, or in the short run even. I go to over 10 workshops every year, so the amount that I've been learning has been so incredible. It's been awesome. And the best thing is meeting all these other people that are also kind of like that 1% in the world that would go to such lengths to learn. All of a sudden, you're going to a place that's just filled with them. And that is motivating. When you surround yourself with... I was just thinking about this today. You know what? I was thinking about how do I illustrate this thought that I have, which is, if you are the tallest tree amongst a bunch of bushes, you're going to feel tall and you're going to feel awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Until we transplant you into the giant redwood forest, which all of a sudden you are a dwarf. So surround yourself with other strong, big trees if you want to become a big, strong tree. If you surround yourself with a bunch of bushes, you're going to feel like you're super awesome when you're actually not doing that much, right?
So true.
It's just something I was thinking about. I don't know how I would illustrate that really, but yeah, it's just a thought that I had earlier this morning. The other thing I want to mention with this exercise here, right? You don't have to paint what I'm painting. What I want you to do is take these very simple compositions and think up your own story. Think up your own imagery. How would the lighting work for your thing? And really, you don't have to keep to that composition at all, even. It's a starting point. It's just a starting point to help you get the pen moving, or your pencil moving, or your brush moving, because a lot of times that is the hardest thing. So now we just narrow down the criteria just a bit, so it isn't completely blue sky, and now you can just paint something based off of these compositions. And you'll see a lot of these compositions I definitely stray from, so feel free to do the same thing. The other thing is, don't always go straight into the painting. Take some time to stare at it and think about and try to imagine, try to picture what it is you want to paint there. Even if it's just part of an idea, that's totally fine. That is, I think, the biggest plus from this exercise, if you do it the way that I'm telling you, to constantly exercise the ability to visualize well. Visualizing is such a high level way of thinking because it kind of umbrellas all of the fundamentals. The ability to just see structure, to see anatomy, to see light and shadow, and to imagine light and shadow, to imagine materials and all that stuff. You start off with visualizing it first. And then you go, in your head, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Check. I'm going to go do that now. If you are constantly scratching in lines, scratching in stuff, tones, and things like that to see if it's right, it'll take you way longer. And a lot of times, the image doesn't turn out as good, I find. When I really practice my visualizing, then that's when things turn out to be their best. Do you practice visualizing stuff when you're drawing and painting?
Yeah, I do totally. I have to think about things for a while before I actually put, pencil to paper down, or else I find that it's just, it's just sketching and then I'm just putting ideas down.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but the other thing I totally do now is a lot of times I expect to do it twice.
Yeah.
So I'll just do this sloppy whatever painting and just get the idea out and go through the process. Then when I paint it again, things are a lot more designed, thought out.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
You
And
do
I
that
think,
as well?
yeah, because you have to prepare yourself to do it twice.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do it once and you want to just do that once and then you mess up, it's a lot more disappointing than when you're like, oh, I have to do this twice. You already know.
Totally, totally. I used to, do a very quick, very basic sketch and then start um, just straight into the final painting. I always found that those paintings didn't do as well as if I went through the whole entire process and just slopped through it, painting whatever,
Mm-hmm.
not just doing a line drawing sketch. Then things always turn out better when I do the final.
Yeah, like the second time.
Yeah, yeah. And experiencing those failures in the first painting and experiencing, falling down and making something look ugly, when it's not supposed to, is as important as, the whole entire idea of doing it again.
Oh, for sure.
Both parts are just as important to really find or to make a successful painting.
Mm-hmm, I agree.
And a lot of times people will do multiple sketches.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Just really plan it out before you get into the final.
Yeah, I feel like a big part about what separates professionals from, uh, low level professionals or students is that the real hardcore professionals really respect the process.
Mm-hmm.
They do all the things that other people think, oh, they can grow past.
Right.
Right? Oh, they don't need to do all this reference studies anymore. They don't need to do this and that anymore. But the hardcore, like the best artists, they still go through a lot of those processes. Like James Gurney, for example, you can see him do like a million studies.
Oh man, crazy.
Yeah, and a million painted studies as well before he does his final. I think that is a huge kind of learning point. Now I want to go back to some questions. So people are asking some questions. have have you ever experienced a period where it feels like there aren't enough hours in a day to draw and paint everything you want to? Too many fun projects. If so, how have you dealt with that? Ugh, story of my life. Story of my life. You know, and especially as uh, your career progresses, you're going to get more opportunities, right? Because people know you or people like your stuff more and more, and they're going to give you more opportunities. So you need to be selective. You need to know that you can't actually do everything. And if you did do everything, you probably wouldn't be happy with any of it because you spent too little time on it, too little energy on it. So I definitely think that that you have to really pick and choose. You have to learn to say no to a lot of things, especially when you start to succeed. Of course, when you're beginning, try to say yes to everything because you probably don't have enough of anything to really succeed as an artist, right? Unless you got, you know, some good financial backing, then actually, everybody's different, but I am the type to be like, to say no to practically everything and just concentrate on learning stuff because that's what I enjoy about art. Right? So the other thing is that when you get an opportunity, when you get a good chance to do something, you know, don't expect kind of like destiny to do everything for us. You know, sometimes we get these big breaks in life where we feel like fate is leading us in this direction. It might be leading us, but we still need to, you know, travel there. You know, so don't expect destiny to do everything for us. When you get your big break, you haven't made it yet. You need to, you know, go just as hard. You need to take it just as seriously, even in your 10th year, you know, your 15th year, to truly try to make the most chance for you to succeed in the long run. You got to do all those things that brought you that success in the very beginning. You know, it's destiny a lot of times shows us the door, shows us the opportunities, but it's up to us to find and follow the path that it leads. Next question here. How would you explain to a student how to visualize? I understand it, but I'm not sure how to transmit it or what it means or how to help people improve it. Okay, so if you close your eyes, right? If you close your eyes, try to picture an angle. Just try to picture a line at a specific angle. Can you picture that line? Now, how clear can you see that line? Do you actually see a line? That's what I'm talking about visualizing. Now, that is one of the easiest things. Of course, easier than that is just to picture a point, to picture a dot. Harder would be to open your eyes and picture that dot, or to open your eyes and picture that line. Harder even still would be to picture a cube, right? A linear cube. Try to picture that really, really clear. You know, close your eyes, try to picture that. Open your eyes and try to picture that on a blank piece of paper. Try to rotate that and have full control in its rotation on the piece of paper. If you are doing that and you're trying to do that, then you are exercising those muscles. And a lot of times when we are just starting off, those muscles are so weak that you barely even know if it's doing anything. But just keep going at it. Keep going at it, and you'll soon, one day, you know, it might take you a couple weeks even, who knows, keep at it, but one day you will see that, yeah, it's working. Yeah, I can picture stuff. That is how it goes. And if you don't keep it up, I suggest you pick it back up, because you can get worse at it. You can get rusty at it. So it's very important to keep that going. All right. Next question here. So it says, "Hi from Argentina. How do you deal with art quality and work that needs to be delivered fast? You develop some method, or you just deliver what you can in the time with less quality?" I usually, you would need to strategize. If you have less time than you normally do, you need to strategize. So one of the easy ways, because I want to give you something that's applicable to anybody in any style or whatever, is think about how you can keep it looser overall, and then think about the areas that you'll tighten up. That's what I'll generally do. If it's a concept for some creature and they aren't giving me much time, then perhaps I will just focus in on the part that I'm supposed to focus in at, which maybe it's the face, right? So I would do everything loose, and then I would just pick a particular spot to really render the heck out of, and then then I'll hand that in. And if you do it right, all you need to do is finish the areas that people will really focus in on. If you do it right, it will feel like a finished idea. And have you ever seen like a John Singer Sargent painting where it looks amazing? It looks like a whole another kind of reality that we've never seen before, another dimension that we've never seen before. But around the sides, when you start looking around the painting, it becomes so loose, so so basic, that you're just like, you're surprised. You're surprised on how basic the brushstrokes look. But also you are in a bit of awe as well. So I like doing those kind of things because that it is a kind of like a style within itself. You make it into a style within itself, and it does feel like a finished thought. Okay, so next question from Lita. Lita, I'm wondering how you recommend staying on track artistically when you have obligations, family visits, long holiday trips away from home, illness, etc. Something that was kind of interesting, I was talking with Tom Flaherty, and just talking about, oh, would he mind guest starring in one of these streams, which I hope to do hopefully next week with him. He, I was asking him, do you have time for this? And he was like, yeah, I think I'll, what did he say? I think I might have some spare time for this. And then he corrected himself right away. And he was like, I mean, not spare time, but I think I can make some time for this. I can dedicate some time for this. And that is from a person with like 5 daughters.
Yep, he has a big family.
Huge family, right? Lots of things to do and a busy career. And I thought that that was such a good takeaway when he said that. It's just like, yeah, you don't try to, find some spare time for something that's truly important for you. You don't try to find some time for it. You schedule it in, and you schedule everything around that. So take some time for yourself to just think about your schedule, think about the days that you have, think about the times within those days, and think about what day, what time are you dedicating to whatever it is you want to dedicate your time to. And that's how you're going to uh, find the time to work on stuff artistically. For me, I have a pretty tight schedule, so what did I start doing? I started to wake up earlier. I would just start waking up a lot earlier because I didn't have time in my schedule. But the time that I did kind of have is at the very end of the day where I'm just doing nothing. I'm just watching TV. So I started to eliminate a lot of those hours and go to sleep earlier, wake up way earlier. And when I wake up way earlier, then I have much more energy to do the kind of paintings or the kind of work that I want to do. If I was to schedule in the night for me to do those things, they wouldn't actually come out effectively, right? I would be too tired. So it might work for some people out there. It didn't work for me. So in those cases, if it doesn't work for you as well, to just work at the very end of your day on artistic stuff, then change your schedule so you can find a different time, right? And that would be the idea there. Some really good questions, by the way, so keep them coming. As you can see, I'm painting these people kind of walking towards distance. What I was thinking in the beginning, I was thinking of a bunch of zombies. I was thinking about a bunch of zombies kind of wandering into distance. And so at this point, I'm thinking a bunch of zombies kind of walking towards some sort of peacefulness, you know, like they're zombies. They have it pretty bad. All they want to do is eat people's brains and stuff like that in constant torture. So I was thinking, make it something kind of nice that they're walking towards. Like hopefully they're going to find their peace of mind out there in the distance. And of course, I'm sure if you started your sketch independently, based off of the same composition, you probably have a completely different story, a completely different idea. And that is what these, these exercises are for. And I have plenty more on my YouTube page. Okay, so definitely go and check out the YouTube page, subscribe to it, youtube.com/digitalbobbert. That's my channel that I made years ago. I probably should have just called it Bobby Chiu. But back then, everybody kind of called themselves by strange aliases and stuff like that, which is really fun. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so next question says, do you do these exercises in your digital painting class? What exactly does your class go into? So this person's talking about digital painting techniques with me on schoolism.com. So right here, these are exercises, right? And the big difference between what's here and what's on schoolism is that schoolism, they are lessons, right? So they are lessons to expand your knowledge. Here we're dealing with exercises to keep artistically fit so you can exercise your knowledge. So both are very important. And for example, on my digital painting class, I might teach you how I use my brush. How specifically do I use my brush? How do I use it when I'm dealing with something that's more organic versus something that is more industrially made? There are specific things that I will change. How do I think about rendering something? You know, a lot of these kind of questions are the way, or are the things that I cover in my class. It's especially good for people that already know how to draw and paint and want to make that leap into digital. That's what it's especially good for. But really, I've had hobbyists to art directors to housewife in South Africa, and they all take the same class, because really you're not learning how to do something necessarily like painting or environments or gesture drawing, whatever. It's even more, you're learning how does that artist do it, how do they think about it, because when you can get inside somebody's head and start to understand why did they do that, why did they do this, not just how did they do it, then that starts to expand your mind way more. And the real path to creating a wonderful your own identity, your own style, that kind of thing, is to learn from many different people about perhaps the same subject even, of how they do things and how they do things differently. You know, by just supercharging your brain with as much knowledge, as much methods and techniques as possible, that's when you start to invent your own. That's when you start to discover your own, or blend your own bunch of techniques together. Yeah, and hope you guys don't mind, but I would like to just, tell people out there that might not know, Schoolism subscriptions. We have been bringing together all of the people that I would love to learn from, me personally. And, for years now, we've been bringing them together to teach on schoolism. Now, it's not just about the greatest knowledge in the world and the search for the greatest knowledge in the world, but also to make education totally affordable to everybody. So this year, we've opened up Schoolism subscriptions, which is fantastic because for the price of $12 a month, it's currently, okay? Currently, it's a year subscription, $144, which equals $12 a month. And to put in perspective, that's $12 a month. How much does your dinner cost on average, Sam?
Like $30.
$30. Wow, you eat pretty good. So that's like, more than 2 months worth of top-notch education. What we want to do is make education something that you don't have to worry about that loan that you took out for your amazing education and how you're going to actually pay it off. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to have it something that you don't even have to think about anymore. That you can just sign up, start learning, and start concentrating on scheduling your time, practicing your stuff, things like this, instead of worrying about these debts that you're starting to build up and all this stuff. Yeah, so for all of you guys out there, if you don't have a Schoolism subscription, I would definitely recommend it because of this. I know I started it, but that's why I believe in it so much. Because of things like you have Dice Tsutsumi and Robert Kondo teaching on there, and they taught many people in Pixar even how to, do their color keys and how to think about stuff in terms of light and color and all sorts of things. Not only that, but they were also nominated for an Oscar last year. You got people like Craig Mullins about to start his class, which is going to be completely epic because many people, including myself, consider him kind of like the godfather of digital painting. Without him and what he's done, I don't think digital painting would look or be the same at this moment. That's how much of an influence he's had. And the list goes on and on. I won't, drag things on, but definitely check out schoolism.com and check out the instructors because it's no joke. That's what really makes the hugest difference from everything else available. I totally sold that way too much, Sam. But hey, when you believe in something, you gotta speak up.
And it's totally worth it.
There you go, right on. A lot of times, I remember I was talking with Jessie Schmidt. I did an interview with him on Schoolism not too long ago, and he said something that I was just thinking about right now, where he said at a point he was scared. He was scared to really try and give it his all. And that kind of made me have some flashbacks of when I was in school and I had this period where I was scared as well. I was nervous to really give it my heart and soul, my 100%, because I was afraid, what if I don't make it? What if I don't succeed? Then I know that I tried my hardest. It's a lot worse than if you tried a little, like 70%, and you didn't make it. You're like, well, I could have tried harder. I could have made it, right? But I don't know. If you have you ever had that experience?
Oh yeah, especially after I graduated, it's just kind of like that limbo. You're not too sure where you're gonna go or what you're gonna do.
Really?
But all I can say is that if you don't try and if you don't fail, you're never gonna know your limits.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't try, you'll never. There is no try. There is only do.
There's only do.
There is only do. It's not a very good Yoda impression, but I'm so psyched for Star Wars today. Okay, anyways, yeah, the main thing is if you are brave enough to try out 100% in everything you do, success will soon find you.
I agree.
Totally believe that. It's like this test that fate constantly, or life, or whatever you want to call it, constantly has for us to see if we deserve those things that we really want. All right, so you can see that this one that doesn't have any creatures yet, it's just a train. You know what? Sometimes you just draw whatever it is you kind of visualize. So what I'm kind of visualizing here is this train, and it's probably has one compartment that has some creatures in it, kind of like in a circus. So that's what I'm kind of thinking that this idea is going to become. Do or do not. There is no try. That's what somebody wrote. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yoda, changed my life.
Seriously.
Yeah, that was the inspiration that made me want to do character designs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, because why? Because you have these iconic characters, and that's great. Memorable characters, you make a memorable character, that's really great too. You make a character that has some sort of emotional impact with people, where they just fall in love with them or whatever, that's really great. But to make a character that changes people's way of thinking for in a positive way, that is the ultimate level.
It's like the
right?
icon. It's iconic.
Yeah, that is the ultimate level of art, I think. And things like philosophy have kind of disappeared on us now,
Yeah.
right? Like, name one current really monumental, really life-changing philosopher. It would be difficult to kind of think of.
Because there's not that many anymore.
Right. But you know where philosophy has emerged? In things like film, in things
Exactly.
like television,
Yeah.
where you watch them and you're like, oh, wow, that inspired me to change my life, and now doing things in a different way. And I'm very much into philosophy kind of stuff. So I think that's why I also really like, working in films or games. Games can do the exact same thing. Or books, but sometimes books don't need a artist.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, somebody's writing Alain de Botton. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name. Definitely, I know that person, and everybody should look up that person because he is a philosopher. Nowadays, current philosopher that says some very interesting things. But yeah, hey, how many people have actually heard of Alain de Botton? Like, I barely even know how to pronounce his name, and I have watched the guy, and I like the guy's stuff. So, Joseph Campbell, right on. So there are some, but I'm saying, like, is it at the same level as, like, Socrates, Confucius, stuff like that? I don't feel like I don't feel like philosophy has that level of importance anymore.
Yeah.
But storytelling has huge amounts of importance. People will like totally have their lives go into turmoil if you promise them that Game of Thrones is coming on and you don't have it come on.
No, it's so true.
You know, like that's just a story.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I would be one of those people that would go
Oh
crazy.
no, me too.
It's just a story though. It's not even that important.
Right.
But when you think about philosophy, that's the thing that can change the world the most.
Mm-hmm.
For example, before the United States, right? Mainly, like every country was kind of built on this whole philosophy of king and queen,
The
passing
monarchy.
it down, generations, emperor, monarchy, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden this new philosophy of, by the people, for the people, voting, whatever, all of a sudden that spreads through the whole entire world.
Yeah, changed our world today.
Yeah.
As we know it.
Yeah, totally. And there's been many other philosophies along the way, communism, stuff like that, which, has kind of lost the popularity contest here.
Yeah,
but I
sure.
do remember when I was in the 80s, it was very much about the communism and the democratic way of living versus the. Anyways, we are so going off topic here. It's unbelievable, but art, it has that power. It doesn't just have power to make a child smile or something like that, but in the highest level, it has the same kind of power as philosophy. It has the power to change the world. Okay, so a lot of really great moments here in this stream. I feel a lot of little nuggets that we can kind of go back at, and to kind of talk about again. But I want to talk about just a couple things that I was thinking about before this stream. Some that I've kind of talked about previously, but I just want to kind of solidify a couple of these things. So one thing is that everybody has moments of darkness. Yin and yang. Everybody will have good days. Everybody will have bad days. Everybody will have good periods of time that could last like a month, a year, or whatever it might be. A lot of people might be in a lot of turmoil, things like that. But what I want to tell you is that when everything is great, big opportunities are not really that readily available. And the moment to shine, the brightest, is in those darkest moments, right? Darkness can bring chaos, but it also comes with opportunity. And I think one of the best things when Sam, when you joined us again, was the fact that you were working in retail at the time.
Yeah.
Right? Which isn't like necessarily a dark moment, but
it's pretty dark.
but it was really great for you to experience that, because say you didn't experience that, and say everything was, beyond awesome, and you're a rock star and all this stuff, and you come and work here, you're gonna feel super depressed and kind of crappy, right? So what I'm saying is, those darkest moments, not only are there great opportunities, but it also helps you to really realize and appreciate
Yeah.
the things that life has given us. And that's always a great thing to do is just to reflect and just to appreciate, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm for sure very grateful for this opportunity. Just like from working retail to actually being in the industry, I find it's like it gives me that perspective of like, oh, there's more.
And it's awesome because, you know, it's like you just did this really cool Star Wars painting for this gallery. What's the gallery? You can
Oh,
plug
it's
it.
it's called Pop Secret Gallery in LA, and they did a show called 12 Days of Star Wars to kind of tie in Christmas and Star Wars.
Oh, cool.
And so I submitted a piece to that.
Right, and you got in and everything. So that's awesome.
Thanks, yeah.
You know, I feel like since you started working here, your goals have become brighter and bigger.
Yeah.
You know, which
I agree.
is huge. So huge.
When I was working retail, I was like preparing myself to, I'm just gonna be in retail forever. I'm just gonna stay here and that's gonna be okay. And it wasn't until I got back here at Imaginism Studios that my goals had changed and become higher and brighter, like you said.
That's so awesome. You know, and I feel like that's something that a lot of us should learn in school, that this will happen. That when you get out of school, life will try to make you complacent to where it sticks you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and we really need to dig deep to dream big.
Yeah, I
especially
agree.
when we're not doing much,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's great, really great to hear. The other thing that I want to mention, you know, it's, again, just some thoughts that I was thinking about, is that I mentioned this a little bit before, but the experience of falling down is just as important as getting up in order to succeed. You know, like a lot of people, they feel like, oh, it's all about the getting up after you fall. But I feel like the falling down part is just as important because that's where the really big learning opportunities lie. Doesn't mean that that's always going to be a great learning experience for you, but that's where they are. That's where they're hidden. And you just got to look deep and figure out, why did this thing fail? And what are the things about it that were in my control? I think that's hugely important and something I want to mention. You know, another thing I want to mention before this stream is over is the logical next step, right? So you slow down your dreams with every sensible move that isn't taken. That was kind of like the thought that I want to express. Too many of us know exactly what we should be doing, what we need to do to get to that next level. And especially art, where it's like you don't have to be, you know, 100 pounds and be able to put on, you know, a certain size tutu to be able to succeed in that goal that you have. Artistically, you just need to be able to hopefully, you know, see stuff, move a pencil or pen around or paint around or whatever. Sometimes not even, you know, if it's some sort of contemporary art. Everything is so much more possible with art, especially. You know, and like I said, you don't have to have a certain physical physique or certain size muscles and stuff like that to be able to succeed. So the logical next step, you gotta take it. You gotta listen to your common sense, which can be hard.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of fear in it, but you gotta take it in order to get to the next step after that. Because then you're just stuck.
You know what? Here's something interesting. I believe it was this philosopher Seneca, and he said that hope and fear are tied together, right? So, in other words, when you hope for stuff that's out of your control, I feel like this is what he means, and this is my own interpretation of what he meant, or what he said, is that when you have this hope that's out of your control, that's where fear will breed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's so interesting because fear and hope are kind of like, they almost feel like they're opposites.
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, if you don't really hope for much, then you're probably not going to fear as much,
Exactly.
right? When you
Yeah.
really think about it. So I feel like it's more like, kind of going back to the Yoda thing. You just do it, and you don't hope as much. And you won't fear as much, but don't expect as much, and just do it with all intensity, all effort, put in, I feel.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's just another kind of thought that I was thinking. Um, and that's another good thing about waking up really early in the morning, is that you have time to think.
Which is like a really great opportunity for some people. They don't even have that time, you know?
Yeah, I remember like in the 80s where it was like, oh, there's nothing good on TV because there's only a few channels, and there is no cell phone, and yeah, there wasn't much distraction. So then I wouldn't bother turning on the TV, and it was actual silence, which nowadays you have so many options.
Yeah. It's rare to find that silence.
It's rare to find that silence. It's rare to find even a reason to have complete silence. If you have a TV on, why isn't it on?
Right?
Like that kind of a thing.
Life.
Life. And another big kind of thought that we just touched upon earlier was the courage to go at things at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You will rarely ever reach that level if you don't have the courage to give it your all and to do everything that you can within your power to reach your goals.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take that leap of faith, you'll find that, yeah, you can do these things. As scary, as daunting as it may sound, it's kind of like when Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade steps off the plank or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
only to find that there is ground.
Yeah, it's totally like that.
Totally feels like that.
Yeah.
It actually feels like that, even, right? Like when we were just starting off, nobody was really doing the things that we were doing it the way that we were doing it. So that was very scary. Huge leap of faith. But this leads me to the next kind of point. You really only need two levels or two things for success, I feel, in just about anything. Because nobody can stop someone that puts in consistent hard work and uses logic. Now, before I would say, and uses common sense. If people have heard streams and stuff, or when I do my talks or workshops or whatever, they might have heard me say, nothing can stop someone that puts in consistent hard work and uses logic or common sense. But I like to switch that to logic, only because, and I was thinking about this, it's like if everybody believes that something is true, does that make it true? No. Right? There's been whole entire civilizations which thought another race was bad, another religion was bad. And by all intents and purposes, if you're within that community, that would be the common sense. The common sense as in, that's the common thought that everybody has. But is it right? No, it's not right. You know, is the world flat? Oh, everybody thought the world was flat at a point. Does that make it right? Because that is the common sense. And that's why I want to replace it with logic, because the biggest leaps in our evolution, stuff like that, is a change of thought or a change of a way of living that is based on logic and wasn't based on the common sense that was all around at the time. So I thought that that was a really interesting and kind of important thing to kind of bring up. I think there's a lot there. Now, I want to go back to some questions here. This one's from Leonardo. So Leonardo says, thanks for all the streams. You're very welcome. I would like to ask if in the beginning you thought that you could be good. Okay, let me kind of paraphrase. I would like to ask if in the beginning you thought that you could become as good as you are now, or you surpassed expectations from the beginning. Very honestly, okay, first, I don't really think that highly of my art, which hopefully is a good thing because I know other artists that I really love and adore and think the most of their art, and they don't think a lot of their art, that much of their art. But I can also tell you that I've definitely surpassed what I thought I would be able to do when I was just a student. I wish I had some images to show you, but I don't have any of those images of my student work back then. If you did see some of it, wow, some of my first character designs, they really look like it was just kind of like out of The Simpsons or something. It's very basic. I love The Simpsons character designs, this and that, but the designs that I tend to do now are much heavier in terms of depicting, texture, volume, structure. It's a lot more complicated. So, yeah, really great question. So, one of the biggest things I would tell myself if I was to go back into time and talk to that, 20-year-old version of myself would be to dream big, to really dream a lot bigger than you're dreaming right now. Because even if you don't hit that mark, it's okay. Most likely, you probably hit a mark that's way higher than if your ultimate goal, turned into wanting to do retail for the rest of your life, right? The next one, not that there's anything wrong with doing retail for the rest of your life, but it is wrong if you want to be an artist.
Yeah, if you want something else and you settle for something.
Yeah, unless you're actually designing the retail, which would be cool. Okay, so next question. How do you deal with frustrations at an early stage in painting? What is your work ethics with regards to this? If someone is not coming out on what you, or if something is not coming out the way that you want it to come out. That is like the story of my life. So I like to work on multiple things. Giving a project a break, stand up, do something for 10 minutes or whatever, is really good. And actually, I feel like switching gears is kind of like a skill in itself, because as you start to do your art, you get kind of almost addicted to the idea and you want to stay there forever until it's done. But a lot of times it actually does go faster if you take the time to take a break, start working on something else, come back to it, and then you'll see all these things that you want to change about it, or all these much simpler solutions to get to where you want to go with that painting. Okay, so let me just copy all these questions in here. But really good questions coming in. Okay. So next question is, I'm at the fundamental stage. My drawings look better when I draw with big strokes with my line work. This throws me back. Should I keep learning fundamentals without line work? You know what? I would definitely recommend just concentrating on all levels of your fundamentals, and do very kind of concentrated learning. So what I would recommend is take a period of time. It depends how early, how beginner you are, but take a period of time where you're just focusing on lines, just focusing on line. Then, and that isn't just drawing lines. This is studying lines, everything about lines. So what are other great artists that just do amazing line work? Maybe Kim Jong-gi, maybe Hirschfeld, maybe Milk Call, and go and study all these different types of line and how they use line, and do that for a period, and then switch it, to perhaps no line, all light and shadow. Then it could go into where you're just concentrating on color and things like this. But the thing that I feel really separates the really great artists that last forever versus the ones that are kind of like they're around for maybe 6 or 8 years and then you don't hear from them, or even less. The ones that are there forever are the ones that always respect the fundamentals, are always trying to get better at the fundamentals, because you can't master the fundamentals. You can only get better at them. You could study line for all your life. You could study color for all your life. So really the trick is to constantly study the fundamentals, and not just practice, but study how other people think about the fundamentals. How does J. Scott Campbell express form? How do all these different people do things in all sorts of different ways? Okay, next question here. So how do you deal with frustrations? Oh, okay. Sorry. How do you start giving classes and workshops? I really want to spread the knowledge, but I don't know where to start or how to manage my time with my day job. You just start doing it. I'll give you an example. How I started was in the subways of Toronto, where I would just post online everywhere I could find to post online. I would just post and just say, at this time, at this place, I'm going to be subway sketching in the subways of Toronto. So you can meet me on the platform at this time, and you can sketch with me, or if you like, I'll be happy to teach you as well. You just kind of just start doing it. And the main thing is that don't expect people to just start catching on and then all of a sudden you have this giant crowd already. A lot of times it takes consistency, tenacity to really make it work. A lot of days in the very beginning during the subway sketch group, nobody came out. Okay, next question. Okay, so I'm at the fundamental stage. My drawings looks... Okay, that was a question that's been asked before. So next question says, how can I increase the rate at which I learn and get better? I love the topic of how to learn because it's something that I'm super interested in. You learn... Okay, let's break it down, right? The ultimate inspiration for all art is life itself, in one aspect or another. Whether it's physical, whether it's emotional, it all derives from life. Now, you study just from life itself and nobody else's techniques and all this stuff, in a lifetime, yeah, you might come up with something kind of neat, but if nobody taught you anything, you would have to discover perspective yourself. You would have to discover, structure yourself and how light truly works yourself. How do you learn these things faster? Well, you learn from somebody that already knows it and learn how they think about it. Then when you've done that, you don't want to end up being just like that person or a rundown version of that person. So then you would learn from somebody else. How did they do that? How did they think of light? Even though you already learned how one person thinks about light, you learn about the second person. Well, that person tends to start off with overcast lighting in all his stuff, like Dice and Robert in their class. And then you go, oh, now there's this whole new way of thinking, right? And then you learn, how does Nathan Fowkes think about it? Well, he thinks about it in unity with diversity, constantly thinking about unity in his images with diversity. So you start going, oh, okay, now I can start practicing that. So you see what I'm doing here? You can do so much in your own lifespan, but if you learn what other people have taken decades to learn, if they are instructing you, you can learn those things way faster, right? Especially things like a lesson video. When you start to learn and to make it a constant practice to learn from all of these different masters or all these different really great artists, that is the best way to learn quickly, because things that take other people decades to learn will only take you minutes or a few days to absorb and to understand and to learn yourself. And that is a huge kind of takeaway. So there you go. That's the end of the stream. This is the end of my sketches. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and tune in next time. Okay, sign up for the mailing list if you want to be notified about all the new things that are happening with Schoolism. As well, the mailing list is highly educational and beneficial for artists. There's always a tutorial, there's always an interview, there's always an article or something to benefit artists with every newsletter. So if you would like to get in on that, you can go to schoolism.com and sign up for the newsletter, or I'll put a link when this is posted on YouTube. Thank you very much, everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Hardesty, and I've been a fine artist for 13 years. In my class, Essentials of Realism, we're going to explore what makes a work of art look realistic. As a representational painter, I've had to think about realism a lot over the years. And realism breaks down to 4 key concepts: proportion, value, edge, and color. In my class, we're going to learn how to understand those concepts, observe them properly from reality, and also be able to manipulate them while maintaining realism. All lectures are pre-recorded, so it doesn't matter what time zone you're in or what your sleeping habits are. You can access all the content when it's convenient for you. There's also no specific medium requirement for this class. Students can learn just as effectively painting and drawing digitally. Throughout the length of this class, I'll be available to answer your questions, help you with any problems, and give you one-on-one personalized instruction. In each stage, I'll be painting directly over top of your work and helping you grasp these concepts and make them your own. I have a real passion for teaching, so I'm looking forward to seeing you in my class. Sign up right away because there's only a limited amount of spaces. I'll see you there.